to Daybreak USA, 37 minutes past the hour. I'm Scott West. Bobby Collins, Chrissy Kahila on board this morning. If you've listened to this program with any regularity, you know I have a soft spot in my heart for the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. For 7 years, I had a chance to judge America's Sweethearts, and so I got a history lesson. You know, they took me back to the early days. They made sure that I knew, and it was interesting. I watched them for years. Had been a fan even when I was living in the tri-state area. But when you understand the finishing school that the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders are, for young women across America who traveled to North Texas to try out, you recognize that what started in the early 70s was something that to this day has helped women succeed in so many different areas of life. And one of the women who was one of the pioneers of the first cheerleading squad in the NFL is in studio with us this morning. Natalynne Walton, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Scott. I'm glad to be here.
Now, you know, somebody you cheered with who's also a good friend of this program, and somebody that she became a peer because she was the first African-American air personality on KVIL here in North Texas, a legendary radio station that I ended up working on years after her. She was somebody you cheered with.
Yes.
Terry is she's going through a challenge right now that she has been battling successfully, and we are still every day we pray for her and that she's recovering from colon cancer. But you're joining us this morning to talk about recovery as well. Hopeful Solutions is, as the website says, a bridge to a new life, and it is something you started that is the product of a journey that you experienced. Talk about the days after you left the field and hung up the uniform of the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. What was life like for you?
Well, I went on to get my master's in education, and one of the my goal had always been to teach children. I've always had a passion for children, and so, and as well as my mother telling me that my mother was a teacher, my father was a teacher, and my mother preparing me for a future, a career that would have some sustainability. She says people will always need a teacher, and so I went on to pursue that career. And I achieved my master's degree, and just began to just achieve the goals and the passion that I had. And along the journey, I became involved more with substance abuse. And one thing I really want to just say, unfortunately, no one knows they suffer from the disease of addiction until they try that first drug.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to travel the path that I traveled, but I do have the disease of addiction. Just like any other disease, it is curable with some maintenance. And so it didn't really go to the depths that it finally ended up. But just as I continued to work and just try to get my life in order, the disease became progressive. You just never know. And so as a result, I retired from teaching. And, you know, there's no real excuse for using drugs other than you just have the disease of addiction. But you began to learn how to make different choices. And until I tapped into the resources that were available to me to make those different choices, I suffered from a disease that I was powerless over. No matter how destructive it was in my life, I just couldn't do anything different until I sought recovery. And in seeking recovery, I began to renew some hope in my life that I could do something different, that my life could be restored, because I pretty much gave everything in my pursuit of being a successful drug addict. That
You transplanted all those things that had gotten you your master's. Prior to that, the success you had in achieving a place on the Cowboys Cheerleaders roster. How long did you cheer, by the way?
I cheered for a year.
Now, knowing that it takes a lot to do that, and then after having had that platform and that experience, then parlaying that into other opportunities, you then, when you started making some of those wrong choices, and let's call it what it is, it's a wrong choice.
Absolutely.
We live in a society that tends to want to excuse certain things.
Right.
And let me say that I know what it's like to experiment with drugs. I know what it's like to be around and a part of a culture and people that make it seem like it's cool.
Yes.
First, it's recreational.
And social.
And social. It literally is. Coming up in New York City, where I started in the business, there were people around me that for them, it was like having a morning cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
It was how they started their day.
Yes.
It was something that was kind of the edge taker offer.
And builds courage.
Builds courage. I mean, if you're in the music business, and I spent time in studios watching very successful people produce music, and part of what they did to get themselves started was they had that recreational drug.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to find yourself before you know it. And when my dad passed, it was a dark period for me. I didn't think I was handling the circumstance that badly. I didn't have crying fits. You know, I was very calm. I was the strength for my mom and for my sister and anybody else that was feeling the loss of my father. But I realized that I was going through a period and I was having people in my life that were really not the ones that I needed to have in my life. And I imagine you had the same thing happen to you.
Of course. Oh, of course. And you know, you mentioned something about how it helps you start the day, to put you in the sense of you getting where you want to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't rob you of your morals. It doesn't rob you of your goals and ambitions. It just kind of gives you that
you still have the goals, you just stop working for them.
Absolutely.
You know,
I stopped striving in that direction. I changed paths. Because I taught kindergarten. I was teacher of the year. I received the Golden Award. It's this award that they have in Hartford, Connecticut. And I was very successful in what I did. I had after school programs. All the children loved me. It was just a great, wonderful. But I chose something different.
Yeah. Now
I chose that over all of that success.
Exactly. Over what the master's degree had helped you achieve.
Over what the personality that it required to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. I was